In this training, we're going to cover the common formatting, functions, and operators to be used inside of SmartSuite formulas. So if that's of interest, stick around and let's get into it. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. There's a lot to cover here for all the different available things that SmartSuite has inside of its formulas. So we're going to drop into my screen where I am looking at a reference that SmartSuite has put together for all of the current formulas, functions, operators, formatting, all the things that are available inside of your formula fields for SmartSuite. So I'm going to just use this opportunity to go through the most common of these, and I want to start with the section of formula formatting. Now we're going to share a link to this resource with this video, so be sure to check out where we have posted that so that you can just directly access this as well and use it as a reference as you start building more complex formulas inside of SmartSuite. So here we are. I want to start off inside of formula formatting and just go through the general syntax that you should expect to see when you write formulas. So the first one here is those square brackets. So anytime that you reference a field inside of SmartSuite, you see right here the description, you need to reference that field with the square brackets. Now SmartSuite's going to help you with this by default, so you'll see that when you start writing your own formulas, if you're not quite sure, well, you can just bring in the field value here. So if I were to just add a new field to this formula, let's go ahead and do that right here. You see that by default it gets brought in with those square brackets. But it's important for you to know that those square brackets indicate a field, and so that is what we're getting told there from the formula syntax. So square brackets by themselves, field. Now the next common part about formula syntax is that we have to include quotations around any text that's not a part of a field. So if you're adding any kind of static text or just even verifying logic operator to some text, well, we need to always include quotations around that text. And that text will show up just like this. So the really nice part about the final field here, the example usage in this particular resource, it's showing you an indication of what that's supposed to look like. You'll notice that the color changes and all kinds of fun things are happening here. This is all an indication to us what type of data we are working with. So when you're inside of a formula, you see something red and it's surrounded by quotes, that, my friend, is text. All right, we also have the period or dot. And dot notation is an incredibly powerful part of SmartSuite formula syntax. And so what this allows us to do is either drill into a field and bring out subfields, or we can drill into a linked record and bring out fields. That probably sounded a little complicated, so let me break it down for you. We have compound fields inside of SmartSuite, things like the full name field. In the full name field, we can include the first name, and a last name, and a title, and a middle name. Well, those are each subfields inside of the big field of name. So maybe we want to access just the first name. Well, we can do that with dot notation. First, we reference the field itself, then follow the field with a period or dot, and then we call out the subfield that we want to access. The example here in this particular piece is the date range field. So in this example, we're saying, let's look at our date range, but we only want to bring back the start date within that range. So we have the ability to drill into a field and pull back specific information from it with dot notation. But you'll also notice in the fourth section here that we can add multiple pieces, both the link to a field and reach through that linked relationship and bring back a specific field. So for example, we might drill into a field called orders, and we might want to access the linked relationship there. So if we have two different applications talking to each other, and we have a link to the orders application, well, we can then reach into the orders application and pull out field information. In this case, we can bring out the orders total. So dot notation used in conjunction with our different fields here. As you can see, we always have a field with those square brackets immediately followed by the dot, and then we will see the other options that might follow, be it a subfield or be able to bring information in through a linked relationship. So these are the common formatting things to note inside of SmartSuite's formulas. But I also want to point out that we have broken this down for you inside of SmartSuite in terms of operators and functions. So let's take these one step at a time from a high level. Operators are fairly straightforward. They are, to start off at least, your simple addition, division, equivalence, greater than or equal to, etc. So note that we've got a lot of different options here. Read the description through all these different things to see what they are. We're going to be going into a little more detail on the more complicated ones, but operators allow you to just test some logic or perform some simple arithmetic. So we can either say, something is less than or equal to, multiplication, addition, you get the idea. Fairly straightforward, but where things get a little more complicated is when we roll down into functions. And you can see that at the time of this recording, we have at least 50 different functions available for you inside of SmartSuite. So definitely take a look at all of these, but some of the more common ones that you're going to see will be the AND function. So this returns true if all arguments are true. We also have things like concat, which combines multiple text values into one. We can count. And one of my personal favorites is the if. So if is going to test for a logical condition. In the case where it's true, it will determine an output. In the case where it's false, it will determine another output. These are some of the most common different functions that you're going to use when building formulas. And there's really no way to sugarcoat it. The only way to learn and master these is to really practice with them. So while I went very fast in this video, the most important thing for you to take away is that you now have access to this resource. I would recommend bookmarking this particular resource so that you can return to it whenever you have a question inside of your formulas. I know we went fast here, so feel free to go back and rewatch, and I look forward to seeing you in the next training. If you have any questions about what we covered in this training, please ask them below in the comments section of this video. And until then, we'll see you in the next training.